Jacob Dreher, you have another piece in the New York Times about the perception of America in China now. Your sense is that many Chinese have moved on from America, and I'm curious how you experience that.
I think first and foremost, I would like to say that I have never experienced any xenophobia or rude remarks or go home Yankee in this country, which I have in France, I have in Argentina, I have in Canada. The key point is that like 20 years ago, what China wanted to do, America offered a model. I want to build a great airport. Who has one? Maybe America. I want to build a great university. Who has one? Maybe America. There's so many things like building cars. Chinese people are like, how do you build a car? How do you have a fast food restaurant chain?
Let me pause you there, because you're talking to a period in China I experienced a lot when I first moved here, 2006. I knew a lot of Americans who worked for General Motors, and there was this joint venture where the local car company wanted to partner with GM to figure out how to manufacture high-quality vehicles. There was a KFC that supposedly was opening up every day in China. These American brands were regularly coming. That's 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the point is, like, why don't they want to partner with GM anymore? Is it because the leader of China is anti-American? Maybe it's just because they figured out how to do it, right? Like, why do I at age 40 not go to college anymore? Is it because I hate going to college? No, I graduated.
When I read your piece, I thought about a conversation I had. This was 2011, and I came back, and I ran into my old kind of landlady, got a Shanghai woman, you know, relatively well off, the kind of person who sends kids to the U.S. or somewhere else in the world. And she said, you know, it's interesting when I think about the friends in my circle, either our children or our money are in America right now. Do you think that's really changed today?
I wrote about a book group that I'm part of, this like Mandarin language book group, and all the people are like liberal. You know, they were educated in the U.S., you know, living in China's version of Park Slope. They'll go to the U.S. and they'll be like, it doesn't feel like the U.S. knows what it wants or where the country is going. They'll talk to local American white people in America, or black people, or Mexican people. And those people say, oh, I'm really worried about political corruption and infrastructure and such and such. And I think a lot of the young Chinese are kind of confused because they're like, what's going on? Daddy has become an alcoholic. This is not the America it used to be.
Do you think some of it has to do with how welcoming or not the U.S. has become in recent years to people from China? Chinese nationals at American universities, the immigration tightening, the tone. It is often not particularly friendly tone when people talk kind of broadly about China.
No doubt. For example, I know this guy who is a Chinese doctor, and he invented this really efficacious cancer mRNA drug. Basically, it takes a blood sample, sequences your DNA, and makes an mRNA vaccine that can cure the cancer. And it's already commercially available in Hainan.
Wow, the southern island in southern China, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, what do you think? Can we sell this in America? I think we probably can. And I was like, on the one hand, you cured cancer. On the other hand, Chinese guy who used to be in the Chinese military who wants to yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Red flag, red flag, red flag.
It's true. Like, this Chinese stuff is not welcome in the U.S. You know, some people have been talking about, oh, can China do a big deal with Trump that China can invest, like do joint ventures with big American companies? Maybe China and Ford can team up to sell EV cars in the U.S. And a lot of other Chinese will be like, yeah, this is never going to happen. They won't let us do it. So I think that's a reality. But pulling back even from that, if you look at American people born in America who are American age 18 to 34, many of them are very alienated about the American political system. So are they wrong? I mean, maybe this is not like a weird thing about Chinese people. Maybe everyone, including American young people, think something's wrong. Maybe something actually is wrong.
Jacob Dreher, so good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
American writer Jacob Dreher is a longtime resident of Shanghai. Later this week, I'll report on a hit spy TV show in China.
但福州城内尽是保密局的眼线，此行极有可能暴露他地下情报人员的身份。
It was scripted with the help of the country's anti-espionage bureau, and it's a giant hit. Also, for public radio nerds, a hit podcast in China that takes inspiration from this American life in the States.
你好，欢迎 迎收听故事 FM， 我是艾哲。
Real first-person Chinese stories still surprise you. It's here and now.
If you visit this station's website, you can stay on top of local elections, find out about your town's culinary scene, maybe even nod your head to a new Tiny Desk performance. And it's listener donations that help make everything you watch, read, and hear from the station happen. I'm E. Martinez. Donate your unwanted vehicle to this station, and the next time you're scrolling through stories in the coffee shop, you can blurt out, "Hey, my car did that," to the surprise of everyone sitting around you. Here's how.
Go to radioiq.org and click the vehicle donation banner at the top of the page.
On the next Fresh Air, Joanna Stern is not a robot. She's a tech writer who nearly became a robot, spending a year relying on AI to do everything in her life that AI could do for her, like diagnosing her mammogram, responding to messages, folding her t-shirts, and serving as a boyfriend. She'll tell us what she learned about AI's current capabilities. Join us.
Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on Radio IQ.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston and your NPR station, and from MathWorks, creator of MATLAB and Simulink, to design and develop engineered systems, accelerating the pace of discovery in engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com. And Olin College of Engineering. They believe human-centered designs make the most meaningful impact. At Olin, students learn to work in partnership with local communities with humility and empathy. olin.edu.
It's here and now, and it's been a dizzying time of deconstruction of the Voting Rights Act. Just yesterday, the Supreme Court gave Alabama lawmakers the green light to eliminate one of the state's majority black congressional districts, currently held by a Democrat. This is after the High Court severely weakened the Voting Rights Act prohibition on districting that would have that kind of racial impact. Well, now Republicans have sharpened figurative knives and begun carving up voting districts in time for midterm elections. Here's Alabama's State Attorney General Steve Marshall in a social media post yesterday.
My job in this office was to put the legislature in the best possible legal position to draw a congressional map that favors Republicans 7-0.
Of course, President Trump turned up the heat last year when he told Texas Republicans to carve up their districts to get Republican votes. Louisiana, Tennessee, South Carolina are now all looking to do that. Democrats are trying to push back. Princeton history professor Julian Zelizer calls all of this a supreme tragedy. Julian, you know, it's brazen what Republicans are saying. They want Republicans to win. But isn't this also maybe part of a plan? They're saying it's partisan, which is allowed, not racial.
Well, the two can go hand in hand, and the point of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was to make sure that voting practices, even if the intention is to advance party power, we're not allowed to do anything, and certainly we're not allowed to discriminate on the basis of race. There was a long history of that since Reconstruction, and that's what the law set out to do. So it's a problem if the justification then becomes an acceptable way of limiting and curtailing the right to vote.
Well, then that might be the effect. But again, Republicans are saying, "Oh, we're not doing that. We're being brazenly partisan." But Justice Samuel Alito wrote in the majority opinion last month that majority-minority districts no longer needed what you're talking about, didn't need to be protected because Black Americans who were once barred from the polls or kept out in ways, other ways, now vote at similar rates as the rest of the electorate. You seem to be saying in a piece that you wrote, just to finish that thought, that wasn't the only point of the Voting Rights Act.
Correct. I mean, first, I think his argument is subject to the late Justice Ginsburg's criticism that if it's raining, you don't put down the umbrella because you're not getting wet. The benefits were a result of the Voting Rights Act, which was still in effect. But the commitment is broader than that. It was a commitment to reverse Jim Crow, to reverse what came before Reconstruction. It was a commitment that the federal government would perpetually and constantly ensure that voters did not have that right taken away from them. And after 1982, Congress decided that included not just did someone intentionally discriminate, but was the effect of a voting practice discriminatory. And that was very clear in the law.
Yeah. Well, and the law was about practices, but as you say, commitment, you use that word commitment.
Mm-hmm.
It was about future anticipation and protection and about a declaration.
That's exactly right. And when Lyndon Johnson approaches Congress in March of 1965 and sends legislation, that is the message. It's a moral, ethical argument that he's making about what the United States needs to do to rectify the past and to ensure in the future there was no reversal as we had seen. And at this point, I think it's fair to say that that commitment is no longer on the books in the same way it was just a few years ago.
Yeah. What do you think, happens now? I mean, people are talking about this arms race between Democrats and Republicans. Now Democrats saying, well, in one case, California, they had voters vote on it. It didn't come down from lawmakers, this idea of getting, redistricting. What happens now?
Well, Republicans are at an advantage. They have more state governments where they control both branches, and they have fewer states that have imposed restrictions on redistricting. So in this final few weeks, I think they're in better position to try to move this. The question is, what do the courts do? And what do the courts do about Virginia, the Supreme Court in particular? Do they reverse that decision? It's unlikely. This is a Supreme Court under a Chief Justice who, since the 80s, has been pretty hostile to the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, this is in Virginia. The state court overturned a redistricting that Democrats put forth, and Democrats are now going to this sitting Supreme Court and asking for them to decide on that. It doesn't, well, you say we'll see what happens, but it doesn't seem as if they'll have that, the majority will have that interest.
I think that's right. And again, there's kind of a long history of Chief Justice Roberts on this issue and many of the other conservative-leaning justices. And this has not been an issue where they're very proactive in protecting those rights.
Yeah. I just want to quote a little bit, as you write, from Lyndon Johnson. Speaking in 65, he said, this is not just to take away the shackles of slavery, but to say today the Negro story and the American story fuse and blend. You say that's the point, that's the statement of what democracy is.
It is, and it would be a great loss 250 years after the Declaration if that is eroded in our public life.
Yeah. Princeton's Julian Zelizer. His Substack, by the way, is called The Long View. Julian, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Here and Now is a production of NPR and WBUR. I'm Robin Young in Boston.
And I'm Peter O'Dowd in Phoenix. It's Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston and from the Music Emporium, guitar sellers for more than 55 years, celebrating the enduring presence of music made on the front porch and center stage. You can learn more at themusicemporium.com.
I'm Sally Logan Walker, Chief Advancement Officer for Radio IQ. We have completed the process of upgrading our digital donation systems. If you have waited to update a current monthly donation or to make a new gift, the new online donation form is now available at our website, radioiq.org. Just click the red donate button. Thank you for your patience, for listening, and for your support.
I'm Bruce C. Bryan, host of Naturally Curious. Each week, we'll meet fascinating people and hear how they got to where they are with stories that will inspire and will transport you. So tune in Sundays at 7 p.m. here on Radio IQ.
You're listening to Radio IQ on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISE FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIUR Lexington, WEHC Emory, HD3 of WURV Richmond, and on 92.5 Richmond and 94.9 Fredericksburg. Radio IQ, a listener-supported community service of Virginia Tech, on your smart speaker and online at radioiq.org.
Fresh Air with Terry Gross is underwritten by the Davis H. Elliott Company, providing energy delivery services to utility and government partners since 1946. The Davis H. Elliott Company.
From WHYY in Philadelphia, this is Fresh Air. I'm Sam Brigger filling in for Terry Gross. Today, what if you relied on AI to do everything it's capable of doing? From reading your mammogram to driving you, responding to...
I would like to welcome Pastor Chris Buttery and invite him to come forward to the podium. Pastor Buttery, I invite you to tell us about your church and to then lead us in prayer. When Pastor Buttery is ready to lead us in prayer, I invite all who so desire to stand for the prayer and to remain standing to join the board in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Buttery.
Appreciate that, Chairman Shepherd. Our church, located on 460 going east, is one of 5 vibrant Seventh-day Adventist congregations in the Roanoke area. A congregation really that is makes up the 168,000 congregations around the globe, including in this great state of Virginia. I'm often asked about our name. We're a Bible-believing Christian denomination who observes the seventh-day Sabbath as outlined in the 4th commandment and who believes in the second advent or the coming of Jesus, who said, "I will come again." It's been my privilege to have pastored this church and now the North Valley Seventh-day Adventist Church for 2 years. Our mission is really aligned with Christ's mission to seek and save the lost, and like our Savior, we adopt a holistic approach, preaching, teaching, and healing. Locally, we operate a preparatory school, which has been in existence for over 85 years. The education of our children is very important to Seventh-day Adventists, as indicated by the nearly 9,500 schools operating around the world today. We also hold dynamic health programs for our community, conduct children's ministries, and hold Bible and Bible prophecy seminars to not only help people better understand the moments we're living in, but also to help navigate them. We operate to better people's lives here in Roanoke, not just for time, but also for the time to come. Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, what a privilege to approach you in prayer this afternoon at this place, at this time. We're grateful that access to you is being freely granted through Christ, who is the Word that became flesh, full of grace and truth. Thank you for life, for health, and for the honor to live for you with purpose, with poise, and with patience. We're twice yours. You are our creator, maker, and sustainer. We owe you our lives. Your Son is Redeemer, Savior, and friend who bought us life and life more abundant at great cost to himself. May our hearts, may our all be yours. As the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors meets today, I first want to ask you that you will bless each member of this board, Supervisors Shepherd and Radford and Hooker and Mahoney and North. Their lives were not accidental to you. They're precious in your sight, and so are their families. And so you love them with an everlasting love, and may they know that here today. I ask that you will grant them each health to do their important work well, to wisdom to navigate the difficult decisions that do come their way, courage to do what is right and good for the people of this county, a generous heart so they might long enjoy the needed service they render to their constituents, perseverance in the face of what may appear to be insurmountable issues at times, and a deep and abiding appreciation for truth and grace, attributes of our Savior, so that their work will always be done with integrity, motivated with the highest regard for the individual and the community. There's so much on the agenda today and much on the supervisors' minds. May their work be expeditious. May they find meaningful consensus. May they discover satisfying answers to lingering questions or concerns. And may they find a grateful response from the constituency touching the work they do well here today. And we pray all of this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon and welcome to our meeting for May 12, 2026. Regular meetings are held on the second and fourth Tuesday at 2 p.m. Public hearings are held at 6 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday of each month. Deviations from this schedule will be announced. The meetings are broadcast live on RVTV, Channel 3, and will be rebroadcast on Friday at 7 p.m. and on Sunday from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Board of Supervisor meetings can be viewed online through Roanoke County's website at www.roanokecountyva.gov. Individuals who require assistance or special arrangements to participate in or attend Board of Supervisor meetings should contact the clerk to the board at 540-772-2005 at least 48 hours in advance. Please turn all cell phones off or place them on silent. Item A, opening ceremonies. Roll call. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Here.
Mrs. Hooker?
Here.
Mr. North?
Here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Here. Item B, request to postpone, add to, or change the order of the agenda items. Are there any requests to postpone, add, or change the order of the agenda for fellow board members? Mr. Kaywood?
No changes, Madam Chair.
Mr. Lubeck?
No changes, Madam Chair.
Item C, proclamations, resolutions, and recognitions and awards. Item 1, resolution congratulating Darren Witcher for winning his 3rd consecutive state wrestling championship. Darren, would you like to meet us at the podium with your family and Coach Kessler and Principal Evan and School Superintendent Mr. Nicely? Will the clerk please read the resolution?
Resolution congratulating Darren Witcher for winning his 3rd consecutive state wrestling championship. Whereas athletic achievements play an important role in student development by building discipline, perseverance, and character both on and off the field of competition. And whereas this year, student athlete Darren Witcher brought distinction to Roanoke County and William Byrd High School by earning his 3rd consecutive Virginia High School League State Wrestling Championship, reflecting his dedication, talent, and commitment to excellence. And whereas Darren advanced to the championship match with a series of decisive victories, including 3 early round pins completed in 35 seconds, 1 minute and 33 seconds, and 54 seconds. And whereas Darren concludes his high school wrestling career with an impressive record of 128 wins and 17 losses, ranking 3rd all-time in wins in the William Byrd Wrestling Program and compiling a 51-1 record in state tournament competition with 13 pins. Whereas Darren's accomplishments represent a historic milestone for William Byrd High School and reflect the strength of athletics in Roanoke County, as he becomes the first wrestler in the program history to win 3 state championships and compete in 4 state finals. And whereas Darren has also demonstrated leadership beyond competition by serving as a positive influence and role model to younger athletes, demonstrating sportsmanship, dedication, and a work ethic that brings pride to his school and the Roanoke County community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors hereby commends and congratulates Darren Witcher for his remarkable accomplishments. And be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors extends its best wishes to Darren for continued success in his future endeavors.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll move the motion, Madam Chair. Item C1.
Second. Got a second. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Do any of my fellow board members want to comment?
I thought that was the Mrs. Witcher I knew from Bonsack who taught my boys, and I just wanted to congratulate you again in public this time. You know, Bonsack's got some great students, but they've got some darn good athletes, I understand. And I see you went the wrestling route, and I don't know if you did baseball in high school or not, but his dad used to help coach middle school baseball, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to you, and I hope you do best wishes in your endeavors as you move forward in college. Are you going to wrestle in school?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm sure whatever you do, you're going to do a good job, and congratulations to you and your family as well, and everybody there that contributed to his success. Thank you.
So congratulations, Darren. We are incredibly proud of you. What weight classes did you win in?
In my sophomore year, 106, my junior year, 120, and my senior year, 132.
And so did you have to cut a lot of weight, or was it pretty easy for you to maintain?
A decent amount.
You know, most people don't really understand how incredibly difficult it is to work out and maintain that muscle mass and keep it all together. Wrestling's a hard sport, and you did it well. So we're just incredibly proud of you. And I know that you have a whole team of support behind you, but it's really, it's you. It's you on the mat, and you did it. And you really made Roanoke County proud. So thank you for all your hard work. And I loved hearing the part about was it just the state record was 51 to 1, I think is what I heard.
Yes.
I mean, that is fabulous. Wow. Out of going to the state tournament that many times, I don't know that people understand the gravity of how hard that is. And so that's just really special, and sounds like you're a great role model, and that's what really matters for your life. But you've proven that you're a hard worker. We're proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, Darren, congratulations. And to Mom and Dad, too. I mean, all the practices that you've probably fretted over and even had to go to, and there was wrestling before you got to high school, I'm sure. But Darren, 3 times in a row, that's excellent. And I do know a little bit about state championships. My sister won twice in a row back in the day.
Not wrestling.
The mile, yeah, not wrestling. Track and field. Track and field, just different. It's different. And then my sons and daughter went through state championship runs with Hidden Valley. So excellent. And is that your coach behind you?
Yes.
Great job, Coach.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to hate to lose him.
Yes.
But you know what a great time, and you'll have fun in life. That state championship, you'll never be taken away from you. But just the leadership you learned from it for those last 3 years, it will go with you for the rest of your life. Enjoy and have fun with that.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Darren. Don't know what else to say. I think the resolution speaks a lot of what you've accomplished, and that's a very hard sport. My oldest son didn't even get out of middle school for wrestling, so I know what it's like, and it's terribly, terribly challenging. And you've been able to succeed at the highest level. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to take a minute to tell you, first of all, I am really excited to have somebody from Benton here.
Yeah.
So I've seen others, the cheer state champions, everything like that, but thank you. And I, of all people, do know how much work goes into it. Thank you, Thomas, because no one knows how much time and effort a coach puts, but it's almost just as much time as you. And we are very, very, very proud of you. And thank you all for raising such a great son and leading him in the right direction. I always say, as long as they're in sports, they're not in trouble. It keeps them out of it. So congratulations. What do you plan to do after graduating?
Engineering at Virginia Tech.
Oh, nice. That'll take you a long way. So, well, the mic is yours if you'd like to say something. And then we'll invite the rest of your fan club.
Well, I don't really know what to say, but mainly just a big thank you to everyone that has helped me along my long journey of wrestling, from when I was in 3rd grade all the way up to my senior year. It takes a village, not just the people here, although these are the main factors, of course. There's so many more people that had a part in my success.
Hi, my name is Thomas Kessler, and I was Darren's coach for the time he was at William Byrd. Really proud of him, not just on the mat, and I've said this to a lot of different people that I've talked to about him, and I've got to talk and say a lot of really kind words about him, but he's just a great human being off the mat as well. He's won just about every award that you can win at our high school, from top terrier to leading the dog pound. I think he's up to almost $20,000 in scholarships that he's won.
Wow.
For college. And, short story on him, just his time and effort. We have a youth wrestling program that happens in our wrestling room 2 nights a week during our season. And, they're pretty tired after our practice. He stayed pretty much every single practice and worked with all those kids, and not just sat there and watched. I mean, he's out there being active. He's getting kids who wouldn't want to work or didn't want to do anything or just off the wall, and he can connect with them and get them to do everything. And he's just a really, really big part of our wrestling program, and he's made William Byrd Wrestling a better place through the whole entire time that he's been in our school. So really proud of him.
Great.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm Evan Knoll. I'm the principal at William Byrd High School. I don't have a lot else to say beyond the resolution and what Coach Kessler said. I do think it needs to be noted and emphasized that as strong of an athlete as Darren Witcher is, he is a far better person. He is a leader in our hallways. He is very active in the engineering program at Burton. He's actually just talking about another scholarship that he might get out of that. He will be one of our valedictorians on May 27th. We'll take his academic talents to Virginia Tech to pursue engineering, and I have no doubt that he will be successful. As the leader of a building, though, just could not be more proud of the young man that he is and what he brings on a daily basis. I joked with my wife on the way here. I said, we're running out of things to talk about with Darren Witcher. We're gonna have to keep searching for stuff, but it is all well regarded, well deserved. And very thankful in my position as well, being a first-year principal, to have somebody like Darren kind of walk beside me as the student leader. And he is preparing a speech for graduation, which he'll do very well with on May 27th as well. But we could not be more proud as a school. Once again, not only the athletic accomplishments, but also the academic, and most importantly, just the young man that he is.
Excellent. Thank you.
If y'all want to speak.
I'm just here as a cheerleader, so we want to congratulate Darren. We're so proud of him. He really exemplifies the best, not only of the William Byrd community, but our school system. And both of his parents, of course, work for our school system, so we're very proud of them and appreciate all they do. Like Mr. Knoll said, Darren is not just an athlete; he's a student athlete, and that's what we want to see in our students and our athletes. And he just continues to be a good role model for all of those. And so we appreciate everything he's done for William Byrd, but also Roanoke County Schools, and wish him the best of success.
Okay. All right, well, I'd like to invite you up front to have a photo. And the one thing I can tell you that's going to help Thomas out a little bit, just because you're graduating, don't forget to turn around and help the next one in line.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure he'll welcome you back. All right, would y'all like to come to the photo?
Wonderful. Big smiles, everyone. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Darren, way to go. You don't have to change your high school colors at all. I know you
Hey,
do.
she didn't say you. Her son wrestled too.
Yeah, we knew.
Congratulations.
Yes. I know what it's like on the mama
What you
side.
gonna
I
do
know, I
now?
did it.
What are you gonna do now?
It's hard.
You got anybody else know? Oh, right. You'll be busy for a while.
Good luck in Tech.
Good.
Item 2, recognition of library staff for receiving the Virginia Public Library Directors Association Outstanding Program for Young Adults Award. Jim Blanton, Director of Library Services. Welcome, Mr. Blanton.
Great to be here. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and we appreciate the opportunity to celebrate a special recognition of the outstanding work of our teen and youth services staff. The library has received, as mentioned, the 2025 award for outstanding program for young adults from the Virginia Public Library Directors Association for the Teen Drama Club program at the South County Library. The club launched during the summer of 2025 summer reading program and was designed to welcome teens of all experience levels in stage production. The goal of the program was to provide an encouraging space for creativity and also to build confidence, communication skills, and teamwork. The club met throughout the summer of 2025, introducing participants to fundamental acting techniques through engaging individual and group activities. Teens explored stage presence, voice projection, character development, and improvisation through games and interactive exercises emphasizing creativity and collaboration. Recognizing that not everyone is comfortable in the spotlight, the program also included meaningful backstage opportunities for participants interested in technical theater, prop design, and costume creation. This approach ensured that every teen could contribute in ways that aligned with their interests and strengths. The program culminated in a joyful, community-centered performance designed especially for younger children and families. Teens adapted beloved children's stories, including The Day the Crayons Quit, I know we've all read that one, and I Want My Hat Back, into a live theatrical experience held in the library auditorium. Teens gained confidence, learned new skills, formed friendships, and experienced the joy of presenting their work to an audience. And younger children and families experienced an engaging story time that brought books to life in a new and memorable way. With me this afternoon are the leads for the program: Bailey Vidovich, the Senior Branch Librarian, Lindy Manuel, Teen Services Divisional Librarian, and Jennifer Whitcomb, our Children's Services Divisional Librarian. Their outstanding effort and exemplary work in conceiving and coordinating the program, along with the support of staff and participants, led to the fantastic success of the program and this exciting recognition from the Virginia Public Library Directors Association. We're fortunate to have these talented staff leaders on our team and are thrilled to see their excellence recognized at a statewide level. We thank you again for the opportunity to share this good news today, and we're happy to answer any questions you have about the program.
Thank you. Do any of my board members wish to comment?
Congratulations on your award. Look forward to seeing more of those awards. Mr. Blanton and your team coming forward. I think that's a great contribution. Folks think the library is all about books, but it's not always all about books.
Absolutely.
It's about examples like this. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
So how many teen participants did you have in the program?
Oh goodness, about 30.
30?
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the age? I mean, I know teens, but what was it
12
younger?
to 17.
12 to 17?
Yeah,
Okay.
middle and high school. So if you can imagine wrangling sixth graders for improv games, yeah, it was a great time. Yeah.
Wow.
It'll be fun.
That's great.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. North. It's just not about books. I mean, it's a great program, and use the library as your attraction. Bring them there, and there's lots to learn. You know, drama isn't for everybody, but it really will. It's very technical, and usually they're very studious people that want to do that. So congratulations for putting that together and pulling it out in the community. Good job.
Thank you.
We just appreciate you going the extra mile and doing things beyond the typical librarian, and you all have done it well, so congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's much left to say. They've covered it all, except congratulations and thank you so much for your hard work.
Thank you very much. Well, we have our next performance at the end of this summer reading. So we had 21 kids do drama club last week, so the program is continuing. We look forward to seeing you at our next performance.
Excellent.
Great. Would any of you others like to speak?
No.
I know she doesn't want to speak, but I also have to give a shout out to Lindy. She does an amazing job with the teen volunteer group. Do you want to just say a few words about it, please? I mean, it's just outstanding, it really is.
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to work for the county and to give these teens a place to be. A lot of the teens in our drama club may not fit super well at their schools, and to watch them form these great friendships and to get empowered to perform, and then also to take a role in the library where it feels like theirs has been an amazing opportunity. And also, like with resuming this year, seeing the kids who came back, and we're so excited to see each other again and also welcome in new members. It's just a great, safe place. It's awesome to see, and I'm so grateful that the county gives so much support to the teens.
Okay.
Thank you. Would y'all like to come up for a photo?
It's a little warm.
That is lovely. Oh, look at
Right,
that.
yeah.
Let me see. She didn't.
All right, everyone look here. Big smiles. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. Item D, new business. Resolution approving the Roanoke Regional Cable Television budget for fiscal year 2026-2027. Scott Ramsberg, Director of RVTV.
Chair Shepherd, members of the board, thank you for allowing me some time to update you about Roanoke Valley Television, your civic media resource. And I'd like to start by doing a brief highlight reel of some projects from the past year. It is, let me try it now. There we go. As you can see, Roanoke Valley Television is focused on generating awareness about the good things the local government is doing. Our mission is to make the community stronger, more engaged, and better informed, and we do this by working as an extension of your employee communications efforts. RVTV works exclusively for your partners in the city of Roanoke, Roanoke County, and town of Vinton, as well as your respective school systems. Our main categories of focus are public safety, business, recreation, education, citizen services, as well as arts and history. Working out of our 1,500 square foot studio at the Jefferson Center, RVTV's staff of 5 combine over 100 years of experience. We work side by side with your staff whenever they request a need for high quality communications content. This can not only include video, but also drone services, graphic design, and sometimes animation. In the past year, we produced 51 hours of media content, facilitated the live streaming of 84 meetings for our partners. Thanks to Lacey, especially today in the back, helping make this one happen. We've also provided an overall service value estimated at $2.5 million, which is approximately 4 times our operating cost. A few more notable numbers for you to look at. Over the past year, our team has carried out 565 individual projects while significantly increasing our online reach. RVTV has also continued to be recognized regionally for excellence in production. As you see here, in February, we took home 5 awards from the Public Relations Society Blue Ridge chapter, including a Creativity Award. And just last week, won a collaboration with the county schools, receiving a State Communications Award. RVTV is not a static organization. We're continually working with our partners to meet changing communications needs. A few examples in the past year have been emphasis on duplicate horizontal and vertical video content for social media, focus on regional economic development content, and one more exciting recent development, upgrading our playback system to include streaming on apps including Roku, Apple TV, and Fire Stick, in addition to our traditional 24/7 cable casts on Cox, Comcast, and Chantel Glow Fiber. These new apps supplement our online content distribution and allow easier access for longer form content, additional live streaming capabilities for events, and more user-friendly platforms for watching public meetings on modern smart televisions. Governance RVTV is overseen by the Regional Cable Television Committee, which consists of an elected representative. Thank you, Ms. Shepherd, for serving in that role. This group meets every other month to help guide our operations. Roanoke County, as you know, is our fiscal agent, handling our human resources as well as many of our IT needs. I develop the budgets annually, which consist about 85% of staffing costs. The majority of our equipment and all capital expenses are currently funded through cable franchise historic grants. Our operating budget is split by the 3 partner agencies by percentage of population. Note that cable fees do not directly offset our operating costs, but each locality receives from the state its share of a 5% sales and use tax, which includes various communications taxes like cell phone and cable. Cable subscribers also have a 20-cent EG fee wrapped into their taxes to support PEG programming such as what RVTV provides. Originally chartered as a government and educational access station, the educational component of our mission is still a large part of what we do, providing support to our two largest regional school systems. And of course, Dr. Nicely is here today. Thank you for your support working with RVTV. As an item of note, I'd like the board to be aware that our regional legal teams have initiated the negotiation process for Cox Cable's franchise renewal, which occurs every 10 years. We're pushing for improvements in RVTV's signal quality, which is currently being downsampled on their end. Simultaneously, the RVTV committee and our legal staff are working on updates to the regional agreement, which was established in 1992 and last amended in 2012. Updates will reflect our current operating strategy as a service department and codify some more recent operational policies. I hope to have an amended and restated agreement for you later in the year. And in your board packet was a full line item summary of RVTV's operating requests for fiscal year 2027. There were increases in the budget of 3.4% over last fiscal year, coming from a combination of cost of living adjustments for staff, which are adopted by our fiscal agent, as well as increases in health insurance and IT costs. You can see here the county's portion of the total operating costs, which represent 45.82% of our budget. It is the recommendation of the Cable Television Committee to approve the fiscal year budget for RVTV. And in summary, here's just the highlights of some of the projects that we've been involved in with Roanoke County over the past year. It's been truly a pleasure to work with your communication staff, especially Amy, Em, and Gray, who we work with every day. They do an outstanding job, as you know, of spreading positive message about how local government works. And of course, I look forward to more great things to come in the coming year from this regional partnership.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Ramsberg? Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, two things. I want to say that Mr. Ramsberg and his staff are doing an excellent job for our community. And thank you, Scott. It's great. The other thing, I guess I should, I'm shaking my head and struggling. I got to talk to my colleagues on the board. I see in the board report that RVTV handled 24 Roanoke County board meetings, but 49 Roanoke City Council meetings. So we're not holding up our end of the responsibility here. So
You're always welcome to have more meetings, and we'll be here to
looking
help.
at my colleagues, and I think, we're falling behind here.
No comment.
You know what I would say to that, though, Scott, and I really do mean this as a compliment, is there are many times when we have a camera, put in front of our faces at an event, and I feel like sometimes our responses are disjointed and off the cuff, and you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure how that's going to go off, and you make us look good. Thank you. Thank you for you work the magic. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, and Scott, just to let y'all know, Scott, you've been at the helm for what, 4 years, 5
About
years?
6 years, actually,
6
believe it or
years?
not.
Okay.
Flew by.
Yeah, just, you have flourished as the leader there, and you're doing a great job.
Appreciate it.
And you would think that he would just take it easy and lead the ship, but I was at the Blue Ridge Marathon this year at the 1 a.m. start, and guess who's there with the camera? Mr. Ramsberg, right there in the middle, in the thick. So he's always out and about with his camera, making us look good. And I don't know why we were at 1 a.m. watching the marathon start, but we were.
But we gave you a cameo, even though the event was in the city. So.
Yeah, okay. There you go, Paul. You got it. You got it. Thank you.
I just want to add that, you're doing a great service. There's many times people come up to me and start talking, and they didn't watch the meeting live, but they watched it later on, and they like, they'll make their comments known then. So, I mean, what a great media tool that is for folks to watch. And occasionally, when I can't sleep at night, I'll get up and turn it on too. Anyway, Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
Well, I am the very fortunate one, as Scott said, that gets to serve on the board with Amy of RVTV. And to be honest with you, I always look forward to our meetings because I love to see what y'all are working on and what videos are coming up next, not just for us, but for the city of Roanoke, the police departments, the schools, everything. Y'all do a fantastic job, and I just want to give a shout out to all those guys that I see when I come down there because it's a lot of hard work, and boy, a lot of hard work making us all look good. So thank you.
Thank you. You have a very talented staff, and I'd like to thank them as well.
Yes, you do. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Thank you. Item E, public hearings. Number 1, resolution approving the secondary 6-year improvement plan for fiscal years 27 through 2032 and the construction priority list and estimated allocations for fiscal year 2026. Megan Cronice, Assistant Director of Planning. Welcome, Ms. Cronice.
Thank you so much. I have a presentation that I will try to get put up, but I can't get that thing to go away. Oh, and this is my, yep. There we go. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm here again, as I am every year, to talk about the secondary 6-year program. So I have a brief presentation. So this is an annual adoption process. We receive between $300,000 and $350,000 a year for projects on secondary roads, which are roads with route numbers 600 and higher. There are 2 different funds that fund this program: telefees, which are generated from telecommunications providers paying a public rights-of-way use fee, and then district grant unpaid funds for paving eligible VDOT-maintained unpaved roads with an ADT, or average daily trip, of 50 vehicles per day. That list continues to dwindle as we're paving most of those roads, so there aren't many left. We have $344,212 allocated for fiscal year 2027 for both programs, and there are no new projects proposed for this year. The first project I want to review is complete. This is Franklin Street. It's a project to improve the existing roadway with minor widening and plant mix asphalt. This is a $350,000 project, and it was completed in December of 2025, thanks to the VDOT Salem residency. Ashley Mathena is here today if you do have questions above and beyond what I can answer, and she is the acting Salem resident engineer. Number 1 is Dry Hollow Road. We've been talking about this one for a very long time. So this is a project to improve safety by widening the roadway under the railroad bridge near the intersection with West River Road. The current project will reinforce the roadway against the creek and slightly widen the road and add signals to control traffic. We did have a community meeting in November of 2024 to update the community on the new and improved project that's going to construction soon. We sent out letters in December explaining clearing and traffic signal installation, which should be underway right now through the beginning of June for the project. The total project funding is $7.4 million in that secondary 6-year program and revenue sharing funding. The project's currently advertised for construction, and we anticipate bid opening on May 27th. So hopefully we get some great bids and we can get to construction on this project and get it completed.
It's great news.
The next project is Bergen Blick Lane. This is a VDOT-maintained unpaved road off of Old Mill Road that will be paved with a cul-de-sac constructed. It's about $200,000 estimate, and construction's anticipated later this year. Next is Timberview Road. There were a number of improvements requested by residents several years ago, including pavement and shoulder widening at critical locations, lengthening certain drainage culverts, and spot improvements. We have $500,000 designated for this project. We anticipate we might be able to begin project scoping late this year or early next year, with construction anticipated in fiscal year 2028 when all of the funding is available. The next project is Boone's Chapel Road. This is another VDOT-maintained unpaved road to be paved with a cul-de-sac constructed. It's about a $400,000 project, and we anticipate construction in fiscal year 2029. Then we added Hardy Road at Feather Road intersection improvements last year, and this was identified in our Safe Streets and Roads for All study as a high crash intersection. It will improve sight distance at and approaching the intersection. We have about $150,000 on it, and construction's anticipated in fiscal year 30. And Honeysuckle Road is next. This is another VDOT-maintained unpaved road. It's about a third of a mile between Poor Mountain Road and the driveway serving 7916 Honeysuckle Road that we have added last year. It's about a $350,000 project with construction anticipated in fiscal year 2029. That's all of the projects. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any of my fellow board members have questions for Mr. Cronice?
Yeah, I got a question about dry hollow. I'm starting to see that quite a bit. When did you say that is going to start, or they're bidding it now?
The traffic signal is under construction right now.
It is.
And should be complete by the first or second week in June.
Okay,
The project is currently out for construction bids.
okay.
So that was mid-April it went out. The bid opening should be May 27th. So we're hoping for great bids so that we can get the project under construction later this year. Hopefully later this summer, but it depends upon the contractor.
All right, so they must have just started stoplight, what, in the last 30 days?
The clearing and grading happened earlier this year, and the
Okay.
traffic signal installation is supposed to be happening now, according to the Road Watch. And I will ask Ashley if she has any updates on the signal construction. As far as we know, it's underway,
Okay. all right.
but I don't believe it will be complete for another month or so.
Okay, well, we're working on the building permit.
Well, if you have been out there and you have not seen traffic signal pieces yet, then
I
it
have
must
not.
not be under construction.
Yeah, yeah.
But it should be very soon.
But
Okay.
this is a great improvement. There's been a desire to get this fixed for what? I mean, how long have you been working here? It's been 20 years?
It's been on and
more?
off the program since at least 2012.
So it's
So it's
in
been
dire need,
quite
and we're
some time.
finally it's expensive,
Yes.
but it must be done. So
Yes.
appreciate your work on it. Thank you, Ashley.
Just want to add some color to your comments. While you don't get a lot of money, we don't get a lot of money in Roanoke County from the state because of telefees and so forth that have been in place for 20, 25 years. Legislation the last 2 years failed in the General Assembly carried by Delegate Willis, Delegate Davis, Will Davis, and Senator Stanley to increase by $50 million the secondary road fund. And so I don't know if they're going to bring that legislation back again. And while it wouldn't help us as much as it would some other areas based on mileage of roads in the county, especially secondary roads, you do a lot with a small amount of money. And it's hard sometimes to get done. And appreciate your efforts. But I just want to let everybody else know that if they notice how come the funds aren't that great, it's because we can't get the pot increased. And another example of things putting into place with no inflation factor on them along the way, and pretty soon the pot should be almost double what it is, but it's not because of the Code of Virginia. And then when we try to increase the amount, if they give us the money, they're going to take it out of the general fund for transportation, i.e. smart scale, if you will. So it's moving money around, not getting additional funds. And one day when we get a transportation-minded leadership team down in Richmond, maybe we'll see that day, but it hadn't been for the last 30 years since I forgot who the governor was at that time. I think it was Belials, who was the transportation governor. So anyway, keep up the good work with the effort you put into it. Doesn't always yield a great amount of money, but we do have projects in the pipeline. Thank you.
Well, I think that credit goes to the Salem residency because they do fantastic work and are typically able to build these projects for less than the estimate.
Sure.
So we appreciate them very much.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Do we have anyone that has asked to speak or signed up to speak?
Is it just for the budget? No. Oh, no.
Okay. All right. I will close the public hearing on this, and is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item 2, public hearing for citizen comments on the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 operating budget and the proposed fiscal year 2027 to 2036 capital improvement program. Steve Elliott, Budget Administrator. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This public hearing is to receive comments on the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 operating budget and the fiscal year 2027 through 2036 capital improvement program. This is a requirement of state code and was advertised in the Roanoke Times, Roanoke Rambler, and in the Cardinal News on May 5th. Staff recommends conducting the public hearing to receive comments on the proposed budgets.
Are there any questions for Mr. Elliott? I'd like to open the public hearing. Do we have? Thank you, that's all right. We appreciate all who have come to address the board today. When your name is called, please come forward and state your name and address prior to sharing your comments. Each person is permitted to speak for up to 3 minutes. At the front of the podium is a light system that tells you how much time you have remaining. When the light changes from green to yellow, please share any concluding remarks. When the light changes from yellow to red, your time has ended. While the board desires to hear from all who desire to speak, we ask the speakers refrain from repeating comments already made by others. At this time, I have William Fralin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm here to speak on the budget, and the first thing I want to do, I'm William Fralin. I live at 2830 Wilton Road, Roanoke, Virginia. That is in the city, but my business, Retirement Unlimited, Inc., is in the county just down the road here. And I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to address you today. I'm here on behalf of the Valley Outdoor Infrastructure Committee. Our goal is to put emphasis on our valley's outdoor infrastructure. We believe it creates a competitive advantage in the world marketplace and that we need to invest in it. The first thing I want to do is praise the board and the county staff for having the vision to make the investment and commitment to Explore Park. That is truly revolutionary, and we're very, very excited by that. And that will certainly reinvigorate that tremendous community asset. So I wanted to thank you all for that. I'm excited about the ribbon cutting for the new Greenway project. That's going to take place Monday, and thank you for inviting me, and I'm going to be there and be excited by that. The reason for my comments are not so much on this budget, but basically just to, I understand how these things work in the public sector. Sometimes we can't do everything we want to do at the time we want to do it, but we do need to finish this Greenway. The Roanoke River Greenway was started over 30 years ago, and it's time that we took the necessary steps to finish that. I know there are projects underway. We've had advertising. We've got some routes, particularly on the eastern route that will go from the water treatment plant to Explore Park. But with the county's investment in Explore Park, it is just such a great asset that would only be enhanced by being able to use the Roanoke River Greenway to get to the other crown jewel in Roanoke County, which is help me with the park on the other end.
Green Hill.
Green Hill, sorry. And which is also a great community asset. So if we could connect those, that would be great. And that's what I'm here. We at Voice are committed to help. We just heard the comment about VDOT and about the State Transportation Board, and they do have a new Trails office. And so we're trying to drive some meetings with the Trails office to make sure that we're taking advantage of that. And we're committed to the Virginia Recreational Facilities Authority. That's still in existence and could be a great tool for us to be able to help with these outdoor infrastructures. So I'll leave you with this. It was interesting on the RTV presentation. It went quickly, but I think about 75% of those pictures were from the outdoors. Which gives you an idea about how important that is to our community. So thank you for allowing me time to address you all.
Thank you for coming and speaking today.
And I won't forget Green Hill Park.
Okay, I'd like to close the public hearing. There's no one else to speak, correct? Okay. Item F, first readings of ordinances. 1, ordinances to appropriate funds for A, fiscal year 2026-2027 operations budget and approval of the step plans and pay bands for fiscal year 2026-2027 for the County of Roanoke, Virginia. Steve Elliott, Budget Administrator, first reading and request for second reading. Mr. Elliott.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is to conduct the first reading of 3 ordinances to appropriate funds for the fiscal year 2026 through 2027 County of Roanoke operating and capital budgets, approve the County of Roanoke step plans and pay bands for fiscal year 2026-27, and approve the fiscal year 2026-2027 Roanoke County Public School categories budgets. The proposed general government budget total has not changed since it was proposed on March 24th. However, certain line items have been revised due to the reclassification of a few positions in the organization, including positions between the general government and information and technology funds. The state has yet to adopt their FY 2027 and FY 28 biennial budget. Therefore, changes may be necessary to the county FY 27 budget as we move forward with our approval process based on proposed items before the state. For instance, we have received preliminary guidance from the Commonwealth on increasing the minimum salary for family services specialists, which would have a fiscal impact on the county if approved by the state. These three ordinances require an individual reading and vote by the Board of Supervisors. Staff recommends approval of the first reading of the three fiscal year 2026-2027 budget appropriation ordinances, along with the attached step plans and pay bands for fiscal year 2026-2027, and scheduling the second reading for May 26, 2026.
Are there any questions for Mr. Elliott? No? Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to appropriate funds for fiscal year 2026 through 2027 operations budget and approval of the step plans and pay bands for fiscal year 2026 through 2027 and scheduling the second reading for May 26, 2026?
Move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item B, fiscal year 2026-2027 capital budget for the County of Roanoke, Virginia. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to appropriate funds for fiscal year 2026-2027 capital budget and scheduling the second reading for May 26, 2026?
Madam Chair, I move the approval of this ordinance. $15,077,110 for capital projects.
I will second that motion. Is there any discussion on it? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item C, fiscal year 2026-2027 for Roanoke County Public School categories. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to appropriate funds for fiscal year 2026 through 2027 for Roanoke County Public Schools categories and scheduling the second reading for May 26, 2026?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the first reading of the ordinance to appropriate funds for fiscal year 26-27 for Roanoke County Public Schools categories and scheduling the second reading for May 26.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item 2, ordinance appropriating new funds in the amount of $1,509,502 to Roanoke County Public Schools for a bonus from the Commonwealth of Virginia and authorizing a transfer of funds between categories within the RCPS fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Susan Peterson, Director of Finance for Roanoke County Public Schools, first reading and request for second reading. Hello, Ms. Peterson.
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. This request relates to the Commonwealth's employee bonus included in Chapter 7 of the 2026 Acts of Assembly. The school board has already approved moving forward with the bonus, and today we are requesting the necessary ordinance amendment to appropriate the state funds and authorize the related budget transfers. The total cost of the bonus is $3.3 million, including FICA. The Commonwealth will provide approximately $1.5 million of new money. The remaining local costs will be covered through existing payroll lapse. So no additional local appropriation is being requested. Because the state funds are not currently included in the adopted budget, this ordinance amendment is necessary to appropriate the additional $1,509,502 and authorize the associated category transfers required to administer the bonus, as is detailed in the attached ordinance. I thank you for the opportunity to present this and present this request. I'm trying to talk too fast, and can answer any questions that you may have. Sorry about that.
Are there any questions for Ms. Peterson? Is there?
Just one comment. You'll be back to see us again next month, or maybe it'll be the month after that, once the state decides to give you the final numbers.
Most
So we
certainly.
look forward to seeing you again as well, and hopefully you get a lot more money.
Most certainly, we hope so too.
Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance and to schedule the second reading for May 26, 2026?
I move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item 3, ordinance authorizing employee bonuses totaling $1,503,009 funded from reimbursements from the Commonwealth of Virginia and amending the general fund fiscal year 2026 operating revenues and expenditures. Laurie Gerhart, Chief Financial Officer, first reading and request for second reading. Ms. Gerhart.
Madam Chair, members of the board, this is to conduct the first reading of an ordinance to authorize an employee bonus and amend the fiscal year 26 budget for revenues from the Commonwealth of Virginia and recognizing additional operating revenues and expenditures. The 2026 General Assembly approved a 2% bonus for state-supported local positions such as our constitutional officers and social services departments. If approved by the board and paid to the employees, the county would receive funds from the Commonwealth to reimburse us for the bonus for these departments based on their compensation board-funded salaries as of June 1st. It has been our past practice to approve the bonus for all employees due to challenges in providing a bonus for a select group of employees. In addition, we have traditionally provided a bonus to our part-time employees meeting certain criteria. It is proposed to provide a $250 bonus to part-time employees who have worked at least an average of 15 hours per week between the dates of January 1st and April 24th. Again, for full-time employees, the bonus will be based on their salary as of June 1st, and we recommend the payment be made on June 18th for both full and part-time employees. We estimate the total cost of the bonus to be $1,503,009. We recommend amending the fiscal year 26 operating budget to recognize an additional $276,000 from the Commonwealth, along with an additional $1,227,009 in public service corporation taxes. Staff recommends approval of the first reading of the ordinance and scheduling the second reading for May 26.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Gerhart? Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance and to schedule the second reading for May 26, 2026?
I move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just one comment. The way we can accomplish this is an appropriation of about $1.2 million from public service corporation taxes. And I just want to let everybody know, who citizens watching on TV, that's Mountain Valley Pipeline. So I understand Mountain Valley Pipeline is very controversial in our community, but I just want to say that is providing the opportunity for us to benefit our employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Thank you. Item 4, ordinance authorizing the relocation of the Hollins District Precinct 206 polling place pursuant to Virginia Code Section 24.2-306, 24.2-307, 24.2-310, and 24.2-129. Anna Clader, Registrar, first reading and request for second reading and public hearing. Welcome, Ms. Clader.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. I am back again today to ask you to approve an ordinance that would temporarily relocate the polling place for Hollins Magisterial District Precinct 206. They generally vote at the Hollins Library at 6624 Peters Creek Road, but we are about to start construction on the library and we need a new temporary polling place. The Pastor Palmer and his congregation at North Roanoke Baptist Church have graciously agreed to serve as our temporary polling place during construction, and so that's what we are hoping to do. Once approved, we would send notice to all affected voters, and as soon as construction is completed, we would again send voters notice that the polling place will return to Hollins Library. And
Thank you.
that's all I've got.
Are there any questions for Ms. Clater?
Anna or Peter, when the construction is complete, do you think we would need another ordinance? I know how the ordinance is drafted, and it provides specifically when it's complete, it'll return to the original location. Is that sufficient, or are we going to have to adopt another ordinance, I don't know what, 6 months or a year from now, whenever the construction is done?
Mr. Mahoney, I know that in the past we haven't always done that, but at this point in time, I would recommend that for the sake of our citizens and to avoid confusion, that we do come back before the board, adopt another ordinance, and send this out to the citizens again.
I was hoping we could do it easy.
With that said, let me just add to that. I would like the law department to work with the Board of Elections to take a pulse read on this next May 1st, 2027. Put it in your suspense system, because I know how things are. We get busy and sometimes we forget. And if Anna remembers before you do, then make sure you all talk so we can get this moving along, because the citizens will also enjoy going back to their prior polling place.
Yes, sir.
And we do think the polling location change to the North Roanoke Baptist Church. It's just right down the road. It's very convenient for those people who used to go to Hollins, so they don't have to go all the way to Green Ridge where the temporary library is, or to use another facility. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
With that said, I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance and to schedule a second reading on May 26th.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes, thank you.
all.
Item 5, ordinance amending Chapter 21, Taxation, Article 1 in general, Article 2, Taxes on Tangible Personal Property, and Article 3, Real Estate Taxes of the Roanoke County Code. Kevin Hutchins, Roanoke County Treasurer, first reading and request for second reading. Mr. Hutchins?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Before you is a reading of first ordinance, reading to amend Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 of Chapter 21 for taxation of the Roanoke County Code. The Roanoke County Code currently does not provide for the provision of administrative fees to cover the cost of collecting delinquent personal property taxes authorized by Virginia Code 58.1-3958. It is proposed that a new section 2110 be added to the Chapter 21, Article 1 of the Roanoke County Code to provide the provision of a $30 delinquent administrative fee to cover the cost of collecting delinquent personal property taxes which are 90 days or more delinquent. Additionally, the Roanoke County Code currently provides for a 10% penalty for late payments of personal property taxes and real estate taxes. It is proposed that this section 2118 and 2137 be amended to allow for a tiered penalty approach for late payment of personal property and real estate. The proposal would set a 3% payment of taxes within 60 days of the due date and set to 10% penalty for the payment thereafter. These amendments are authorized by Virginia Code Section 58.1-3916. Implementing the proposed Roanoke County Code changes involves no cost to the county, but we do expect that the new administrative delinquent fee would generate about $390,000 in additional revenue. We also have estimated that the reduction of the late payment penalty from the standard 10% to 3% would have a negative impact of about $330,000 to annual revenue. Staff would recommend approval of the first reading and schedule a second reading for the ordinance and a public hearing on May the 26th, and I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hutchins?
Mr. Treasurer, could you talk a little bit more about how the recommendation came about for 3%? I mean, as opposed to 5% or 6% or 2%? Is there some process that you or staff went through to make that recommendation for 3.
I wish I could indicate to Supervisor Mahoney that there was a scientific method behind this. Basically, we looked at the percentage of late payments that we received during our first and second half installments for real estate or the main installment for personal property. We tried to estimate what the impact of the penalty would be. To go to a tiered penalty approach is something that several of the larger localities in Virginia have gone to. Most of the localities have probably chosen to go to a 2%, followed up by an additional 8, which brings us to the total of 10. There's 2 localities I know of that have chosen to go to the 5%, 5% for the first and 5% for the follow-up to get to the 10. To be honest with you, when I look at the rationale for why we want to do this, the application of the late payment penalty is probably the most contentious and reoccurring interaction we've had with our citizens on a regular basis. I probably talked to each and every one of you over your history of supervisors about someone in your district who wasn't happy. The application or relief thereof of the penalty is very narrowly construed within the State Code of Virginia in such a manner that even if it is hospitalization or death of the owner of the property, we're really not supposed to remove it unless it actually occurs on the due date only, not on the rest of the period of time that we were billing. You take that interpretation, you imply it with the fact that assessments have increased dramatically over the last 5 or 6 years. This is a percentage-based fee, so likewise, the amount of the fee has increased dramatically as well. And we looked at it as a whole and decided that 3% was probably what we felt like we could live with as a budget reduction, so that really we got to a point that there's no arguing with folks over the penalty. We're going to charge you 3% versus the full freight of 10 for the first 60 days, and after that, we go back up.
So we're attempting to mitigate some of the harshness that could surface with this process. Thank you.
And yet you predict that overall we'll actually get more money than we have in the past. I thought I saw an increase in collections from this policy.
I think the increase you're probably referring to was the delinquent collection fee. That real estate kind of has a tendency to take care of itself in delinquent collections through the tax sale process. Personal property has become more and more difficult, especially with a transient community base that is moving from apartment to apartment or locality to locality. As you know, we've implemented a 2-tier collection pursuit where we're actually using an outside firm for the older collections. But we're still doing a lot of work on those first 2 years, so the additional revenues for the collection fee for personal property, not for the actual change in collection results on real estate or personal property.
Yeah, when I first heard about this, I went and looked at my tax bills, which I'd already paid. And on the back, it describes personal property on the personal property bill and the subsequent penalties. But on the real estate bill, I couldn't really find anything. So are you and Kevin going to, not Kevin, are you and Jason going to give consideration to amending those forms on the back for next year?
I'd have to go look at the back to see what you may be referring to on the personal property.
It says 10% today.
Yeah, the form today, it's on the lower left-hand corner. We actually give a projected penalty if you don't pay it on time with the coinciding wording that says if you do not pay this, this is what it will be. I think that probably most of the people that contact me with a late payment penalty have not read that section. So we could always use to redraft and try to figure out how to renotice, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about the back, not the front.
Yes, sir. I'd have to look at the back of the personal property bill because I do not recall ever putting wording on there for the penalty.
Well, you know, who looks on the back, but it doesn't line up with what you're doing, so you might want to give some thought about that next year.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yeah, Kevin, you know, what you're proposing seems, you know, reasonable. you're swapping dollars, basically. The administration fee is a sure thing. It's on the bill, you're late, it's there. Whereas the 10%, you gotta go, initially, you gotta go hunt that down, you gotta do some work to get that, and that's where you've been paying your administration fee out of that 10% a long time ago. So you're kind of aligning yourself. I like the two-tier system. I like the 3%. It's a lot better than 10%. And then, I read it too, Mr. North, and, I thought, it was a good way to try to get some upfront money, say, hey, you're late, and we're going to give you a little bit of grace between here and here. So I don't have a problem with it.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance and to schedule the second reading for May 26, 2026?
I move the approval of the ordinance, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Thank you. Item 6, ordinance amending Articles 2, 3, and 4 of the Roanoke County zoning ordinance. Philip Thompson, Director of Planning, first reading and request for second reading and public hearing. Mr. Thompson?
All right. Didn't have the problems that we had last time. As you mentioned, Madam Chair, this is to look at amendments to our zoning ordinance. It does amend 3 of the 5 articles in our zoning ordinance. And we've been doing this for quite a while. We continually look at our ordinance and make amendments as they come up. It's part of the Planning Commission's work plan. And normally, after about 6 months, we bring those to you to amend the ordinance. Again, these amendments generally correct inconsistencies. They clarify issues or standards, add or amend definitions and uses, add or amend uses within certain zoning districts, develop or amend standards for existing or new uses, and create or revise development standards dealing with landscaping, parking, signage, lighting, or other development regulations. So, in Article 2, which are our definitions and use types, we are amending the definition for a major utility service, and we're adding 2 new uses. Community scale solar energy system and utility scale solar energy system, the difference being 5 megawatts or less for community scale and more than 5 megawatts for utility scale solar energy systems. We amend major utility service to take those uses out of it, because when we went and had Reed Road Solar, it went through as a major utility service because that was the only use that we had in place at the time. For Article 3, so we're adding those uses, community scale and utility scale and solar energy systems as, again, only through special use permit, AG3, AG1, AR, or I1 and I2 districts. So those are the amendments to Article 3. And then for Article 4, we're doing a couple of things. One, we're amending standards for multifamily dwelling, amending the standards for single-family dwelling attached to detached cluster subdivision option and commercial kennel. And then we're developing new standards for community scale and utility scale solar energy systems. So with multifamily dwelling, we're clarifying under number 2 that it's not just the site, it's within a project. And I'll give you a good example, Tanglewood Mall, right? There are multiple properties that are part of Tanglewood Mall. If somebody wanted to develop a portion of that or subdivide a property and then develop multifamily dwellings, the way it's currently listed would be only that property, the property itself. It wouldn't take advantage of the entire project being the mall in the commercial setting. And would have to go through a special use permit in that manner. So we're just clarifying that it's within a total project, not just on a parcel. The other thing we're looking at is changing the percentage in our activity centers for 419 Hollins and Oak Grove Center from 75% to 80%. Right now, it's 50-50 countywide, but in our activity centers, you can do up to 75 by right. And given, looking at some other development projects that maybe come down the pike, we think 80% makes sense, given our housing study, wanting to have more increase in housing. That's why we're recommending that change there. Regarding the single-family dwelling, attached and detached cluster subdivision option, so we exempt certain things, certain requirements as part of the cluster subdivision ordinance or as part of our zoning ordinance. And so what we're adding to that is maximum building coverage. The reason for that is as you shrink a lot in cluster, you're having more open space. Well, the house is going to take a bigger percentage of the coverage of that smaller lot. And so we're still keeping lot coverage, which would be the same, but we're just getting rid of that maximum lot coverage. It comes into play sometimes with an AR subdivision, which we do allow cluster, because that building coverage is only 20%. And therefore, it kind of gets kind of hard to do that in a cluster subdivision. So we're adding that as something that would be exempt from the cluster subdivision ordinance. We are adding a variety of standards for community scale, utility scale, solar energy systems. Again, there's an intent section and there's general standards for minimum lot size, setback requirements, buffer requirements, height, security, soil and vegetation management, visual impact, third-party consultants, decommissioning, and then in that we also add what needs to be submitted as part of a special use permit application. And then lastly, so this gets a little technical, but for commercial kennel, we have this setback in for 100 feet from any outdoor runs, right? And so what we're trying to do is give the zoning administrator a little bit more flexibility that they can take certain things into consideration to reduce that buffer. Well, one of the things is that our biggest buffer standard is a type E buffer in the county. It is 75 feet or 50 feet, right? So if you have a electric substation next to you, it could be 50 feet from your property line. But a pen for an outdoor run for a commercial kennel has to be 100 feet from your pen. So again, we just think it's, in scale of things, there should be some flexibility. So in AG3, it's a by right use. It is 100 feet, but there is a provision where the zoning administrator can take certain things into consideration to reduce that buffer. In AG1, AR, and AV, they're required to have special use permits, and so it's worded that the planning commission, the board, in the approval of that special use permit can reduce that 100-foot setback of that outdoor run. And then in C2, it's a by right use, and there's the ability of the zoning administrator to take certain factors into consideration to potentially reduce that setback. So, with that, we did have a public hearing. Planning Commission held that last Tuesday. There were no citizens who spoke. They had some general discussion about the proposed amendments, made a few tweaks, and they do recommend approval of these amendments. And so we're seeking approval of the first reading, and then scheduling the public hearing for May 26th. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Thompson?
Two questions, Mr. Thompson. Could you talk a little bit more about why the Planning Commission was recommending special use permits for the solar energy? I guess my preference would be a use permitted by right, or at the very least, with respect to the I-1 and I-2 districts, permit by right, and in the ag districts, maybe an SUP. But could you explain to me what the debate or discussion from the Planning Commission perspective was?
So we typically look at, so currently with major utility service, it is a special use permit in all the districts. It allows it in a lot more districts than what that the solar energy systems. I think the discussion on the industrial was we have so much limited industrial land in the county that do we want to allow that by right, or do we want that for other purposes? This way you still have a review. Is this the best use of that property in that process versus having I-1 or I-2 properties taken out for a use that probably doesn't generate as much taxes in that perspective. So I think that was the general conversation.
I guess my board comments. knowing or at least reading what the General Assembly has been doing this year, where you're starting to get some initiatives from the General Assembly to override local land use issues with respect to solar facilities, I guess my thought is, how would a SUP requirement fare in the light of that, what I would call a General Assembly override? My second question, Philip, is, again, sort of watching what the wise people in Richmond have been doing this year, and there's a lot of talk about battery storage accompanying solar facilities.
Correct.
So if I had a solar facility, and let's say we approved it, SUP, and then a year or two later, the developer of that solar energy facility wanted to put a battery storage facility on the same property next to it, would, under our current zoning, would that developer have to come back to the board for some additional approval, or would that battery storage be deemed an ancillary facility that would not require any additional local government activity?
Depends how the state law would be struck, right? I think currently, if they wanted to do that, we would throw that, we have that, again, that major utility service category, right? If you're generating or doing anything with storing electricity, it falls in that category. And we've separated uses over the years, wind energy came out of that, right? And now we're doing solar. I will say that energy storage is our next thing for the next round of amendments that we're looking at, right? But if they approve I think the General Assembly's talked about, if you have an already approved solar project, that you can add that as a use. Well, state law would trump whatever we would do, and we would have to make the amendments to our ordinance to include that. Now, apparently, we only have one project that's been approved. The question comes into play when they maximize lot coverage, right? Because in ag areas, you have a small amount of lot coverage when you have all those solar panels. That adds to it. So can they add that and then go over our standard in our ag district, would be the question I would have from a legal standpoint. Could we stop them from adding it in that regard if they required us to do it? But it is something that we will be looking at. The next round of amendments is looking at energy storage.
Because I see that coming down the road for local governments, and I'm just wondering, do we just bite the bullet and say okay, or do we need some, wait until the legislation is passed and signed, and then kind of see what degree of override there is of local land use powers. But it does seem to me, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, battery storage seems to fit with solar. That just seems to be how that technology would work going forward. And I just don't know if we would treat that battery storage in a fashion that's different from after having approved a solar energy facility.
And I think also, again, just my brief knowledge of that, it probably is going to be one that's probably closely related to a transmission line or near location of a transmission line.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So some of it's site dependent.
Could be site unique.
Right.
Okay.
So,
David, you're more knowledgeable in this area.
Yeah. Philip, I got a couple questions, and just a follow-up. It seemed to me, Paul, that the battery is going to take another piece of land because the solar area takes up so much land. So you're going to have a separate piece of property over here that'll be the batteries and the solar. To me, if it's big enough, it's compatible, but I can tell you, so I've had two different instances with solar systems. So up at Bent Mountain, Philip, so I believe that system we approved was less than 5 megawatt.
it was 4.
Oh, 4, that's what I thought, it was 4. And so really nothing different. I mean, if something like that came up again in Bent Mountain,
Right.
under 5, it would still be a special use permit.
Correct.
It's the same we did before.
Correct. It's just, we just are separating it out separately.
Yeah, so you're separating the utility.
Right.
The size of it. Okay, so, for instance, if homeowner buys 2 lots in a subdivision, and they got their house on one lot, and they put this nice solar array on the ground next to the other lot they bought, how do we regulate that, or do we? Or is that by right?
We do. We did that in the last round. So we do allow accessory use of a solar system for business or for, or for residential. And so we have a sliding scale. So you could do, again, it's more the square footage of the panels that it is, how much you're generating. So if it's 1 acre or less, you could have up to 1,000, I think, square feet of solar panel, 15 feet in height. I think less or up to 5 acres, it's 1,500 square feet, and more than 5 acres, it's 2,000 square feet of solar panels associated with that. So we do regulate it down. We do have it in our ordinance. And again, it's just an accessory use to your primary use.
But it's by right, they can do it.
It's by right.
But it goes through development review.
Right. We would, like a building permit review.
Yeah, right, gotcha. That has occurred in my district, right, in a prominent subdivision. I had people call me and talk about it, so.
Well, I've seen actually in a subdivision in my district that has, and I was getting ready to ask this question, in the backyard, a whole row of solar panels. I guess they have to take out permits for that to have it there,
They would
and,
probably have gotten permits for that, yes.
okay, I was just curious. I
Yes.
didn't realize that you had to have
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, you could do it as a, obviously you can add it onto your house, but you could also have it as a separate array, by
So,
itself.
on a roof, I'm assuming they have to have the permits as well? If
They have to go get
if
a
house puts
building
them-
permit, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
how that actually
Yeah,
worked.
because a lot of that is maybe getting to load, make sure that it can bear the load of the solar panels that you're putting on the roof. So it does get a building permit.
Right.
And they look at it for that purpose.
We want to make sure the real estate gets appraised correctly.
That's right.
With those solar panels, we don't want to
Well,
miss
I
that.
was just thinking about the ones that are sitting in the backyard. I mean, they're there, and I hate to say this, in my opinion, they're not aesthetically pleasing. But and then in other localities, actually in Botetourt, I've been through a subdivision where you go up the road and right in the side yard, there's a whole big, huge thing of solar panels in it. I don't even know how you see past them to pull out on the road, to be honest, but I was just curious how that.
Yeah, we treat it like an accessory structure, so it's typically going to be behind the front building line and whatever, but yeah, we treat it just like an accessory structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for Mr. Thompson?
I'd just like to say that the fire station we built that's in the city is going to have solar panels operating already.
Good.
And we encourage you to come out and take a look at that too, if you haven't, whenever we go next month. And I hope the Highlands Library can see solar panels on top of it one day too, because I'm going to tell you what, I don't know that we ought to be too restrictive on some of these things, although I don't think you were. I think you're being careful. But the state of Virginia needs more energy, and we just cannot continue to operate. And this is just a small way to help these businesses and others save money. And so appreciate your comments on this today. I'd also encourage the Planning Commission talk to Energy Right and learn what's going on around the state of Virginia and other municipalities, because they visit these sites regularly throughout the year.
Yeah, when we were working on it, especially in the early part, we had some staff, the local staff member from Energy
Yeah.
Right be there.
Yeah, I
and
think so.
Provided some information to us.
Right. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance and to schedule the second reading and public hearing for May 26, 2026?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Thank you. Item G, appointments. Do any board members have an appointment that has not been given to the clerk and included in the board report for the agenda item G? Is there a motion to approve the list of appointments set forth in the board report?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Do I have to vote for myself going to this commission?
Why not?
Okay, yes,
But it's only for 6 weeks.
thank you.
Mrs. Hooker,
They'll recruit me after that.
Yes.
More like 6 years.
Mr. North,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yeah, yes.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Well, let me just say, no good deed goes unpunished. There's something else coming your way, you just haven't seen it yet.
Item H, consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted by one resolution in the form or forms listed below. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Does any board member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion? Is there a motion to adopt all matters on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item I, citizens' comments and communications. This time has been set aside for Roanoke County citizens to address the board on matters of interest or concern. Are there any citizens wanting to address the board that have not submitted a form? All right. I guess you don't have any of those, Rhonda?
No.
Okay. All right. Item J, reports. Is there a motion to receive and file the reports that have been included with the agenda under item J?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. Item K, reports and inquiries of the board members. Mr. North?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let's see, May 5th, I attended the Regional Chamber General Assembly Legislative Luncheon with several other board members and staff, and we are still waiting on a state budget. So while the event was welcomed and the lunch was good, we still don't know the final outcome of many things. May 7th, I attended the Highlands Plantation Road Safety Improvement Community Meeting concerning a proposal for pedestrian and intersection improvements for an August grant application. On May 12th, which was earlier today, I attended the Audit Committee meeting for fiscal year 2026 and the audit kickoff, which is coming. And on May 15th, the Hollins Library will now be booked for renovation. Check that out. Come out to the Hollins Library this Friday at May 15th at 11 a.m. for a special celebration as we prepare for renovations. See the plans for the remodeled library there. See the library's time capsule. I want to see that. Learn about the temporary location, sign our memory wall, and more. The current Hollins Library location will remain open until Wednesday, May 20th, when it will close for the 21st and 22nd of May. And then the Hollins Library Express Library location, which will open at Green Ridge Rec Center starting Saturday, May 23rd at 10 a.m. Hours of operation will remain the same. Completion of the library will be sometime in the spring and summer of 2027. It has been, since 2017, my vision for the community to see a new renovated library. And guess what? It's going to become a reality.
Great.
And I thank the support of this board and staff, especially George Assett for all his planning and moving along. It seems like it's just taken years and years, but it's going to be well worth it one day. And no good deed goes unpunished. Mr. Fralin came in here and talked to us about a new trails office. I know nothing about a new trails office, so I'd like to ask staff to look into this new office for possible grants for Roanoke County if it exists and if it's possible, and advise all board members. We just want to understand what the new trail office is all about. And I don't know how long it's been due. Maybe it's been a year or less. Who knows? But let's find out what it's all about. Thanks. That's all I got.
Sucker?
I have just a couple of items, points of interest. Attended a CTE forum on April 30th, and I believe the only other staff member was our administrator, Richard Kaywood. But it was delightful hearing from apprentices and the workplace need for these individuals, and also their willingness to take on students, the environment that we're building with our new Burton Center. It was actually very encouraging for the future and for our workforce development. The second thing was, I think Mr. North already mentioned the chamber-sponsored legislative wrap-up. And while we don't have a budget yet, it was still very interesting to hear some of the dynamics and conversation on how some of these things are going to come together, and still remains to be seen. Next, there was a collaboration meeting that we also attended recently, and it included Roanoke City, Roanoke County, some other primary leaders in the valley on how to be a more cohesive valley. And it was a very dynamic conversation on how do we identify as a community? How do we want people to be here? How do we keep people here? And it was a robust conversation. Went to a jail authority meeting recently, and Mr. Mahoney may have more to say on that, but that was a robust conversation also. So that's all for now.
Okay. Mr. Mahoney?
As Supervisor Hooker said, we did have a jail authority meeting last week, and we approved our budget. So that's a step forward. On May 1st, I had an opportunity to go with Megan Baker and Lindsay Webb, our economic development folks. Went to Lynchburg. They had a AM Squared. AM Squared is an attempt to have Virginia's Additive Manufacturing and Advanced Materials Initiative. The idea is try to expand manufacturing in our part of the state. Go Virginia Region 2 has a grant. The grant is to try to support this. And it was, to me, it was exciting in that, number one, you had New River Valley, Southside Virginia, the Roanoke Allegheny Highlands, and Lynchburg coming together trying to expand manufacturing in our part of Virginia. And I had an opportunity to go to do a walk around with, I always call it Babcock-Wilcox, but it's not. It's BWXT and Framatome. And to see the value of the equipment in those facilities, how advanced technologically these facilities are. I had an opportunity to speak to one of the employees there. He was telling me that if you were a young person and you went to a CTE vocational school and then got a certificate, it'd take you a year and a half, maybe 2 years after that. So you're 19, 20 years old. You can come out of that and have a starting salary at $70,000 a year. And within 2 years, you could be earning as much as $100,000 a year. And they need people with those certifications, that there are job openings for that. That just amazed me that you could accomplish that and have no tuition debt or anything like that. And there's just a tremendous need for that kind of employee skill set for manufacturing. And with this Go Virginia Region 2 grant, trying to expand that in our region here. I just thought that was very exciting. On May 6th, again, Megan Baker twisted my arm and had me go to Basil's Farm Market. Basil's Farm Market is on Brambleton Avenue, almost across from the proposed public site. We were trying to recognize and celebrate small business in our community. And I'm sorry, Megan, I drew a blank on the owners' names. Young man and young woman, Cave Spring graduates, came back to Roanoke County to start their business. Mr. Kaywood was also there. And you know, we celebrate the big company economic development successes, and you come in and you hire 100 people and you invest $40 million or whatever. But I really think it's the small businesses that really give the flavor to our community, that make us unique and make this a great place to live. And it's places like that that are so different and so unique and so personal that really makes a difference. Finally, May 8th, I had the opportunity to go to, they don't call it what's the Salem baseball team? It's not the
Ridge
whatever, that terrible name. I'm sorry. I know there was some young kid who went to branding school and came up with that name.
Yeah.
But whatever. Friday night, they were recognizing the regional apprentices in our community who've gone through the CTE program. And it's a regional approach. It included Roanoke County, Roanoke City, Salem, Botetourt. We had a whole bunch of young people, and I really was excited about the companies in our region that have apprenticeship opportunities for our young people. And that was just great. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Radford?
Yes, I have two items. I want to let everybody know our federal government has released a new website through their Health and Human Services called moms.gov. This is resources, information, and help for new and expecting moms. It addresses the needs of mothers and fathers who face difficult or unexpected pregnancies and ensuring the well-being of mothers and the health of American families. These pregnancy centers provide supportive services for mothers and families. Many centers offer pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, STD testing, treatment, parenting support, childbirth classes, medical referrals, material goods like clothes and diapers at no cost to you. There's over 2,750 pregnancy centers across the country. The majority of the centers offer limited medical services, and there's a little link there you can click on, put your zip code in, and find that center. Second thing, last Friday I had my second session with the VACO Supervisor Certification course on planning, and we are very fortunate in Roanoke County that we have a planning staff, first of all, and that, we're really up on our zoning. So it's an hour and a half session, and most of it was people, supervisors complaining about they didn't have the tools to stop this or that. And they were talking about, one supervisor was talking about Buc-ee's, a Buc-ee's in their area, okay? And then another one was data centers, Everybody needs a Buc-ee's.
I agree.
Anyway, that didn't go very far with that supervisor. But we are the presenters of the planning session pretty much have the same credentials as Mr. Thompson, and they're very good at presenting it in a bipartisan way, because either side could use those tools to better advantage, a certain, outcome. And so I thought they were very equal on both sides of the political persuasion. So still have 3 more sessions of that to go. It's interesting, but we do have a great staff to lean upon. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have a whole lot here, but on April the 30th, I was able to attend the Glade Creek Greenway ribbon cutting at Vineyard Park. And fortunately, that is finished, but the greatest part, as far as I'm concerned, was the amount of staff that came out to honor Brian Epperly with the bench that was placed there in his memory. And I'm sure he's watching from somewhere up above, grateful to have that ribbon cutting of something that he helped design. So if you get an opportunity, make sure, if you didn't go to the ribbon cutting, make sure you go out in Vineyard Park and take a look at the bench with the plaque on it with his name, and I'm sure that he'll be remembered every time people walk by there. With that being said, we also have the East Roanoke River ribbon cutting at Explore Park on Monday, May the 18th at 2 o'clock. We will hold a ribbon cutting to celebrate the completion of 4 miles of Roanoke River Greenway at the Explore Park. The project represents our continued investment in outdoor recreation, regional connectivity, and quality of life for our residents and visitors. Also, we have Virginia 250 events. Here in Roanoke County, we're looking forward to joining communities across Virginia in celebrating Virginia 250, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to mark 250 years of our nation's founding and remember the role Virginia played in that story. We're looking forward to a full lineup of activities throughout the year, everything from special programs and exhibits to outdoor events and community gatherings that residents of all ages can enjoy. We're kicking off the celebration on June the 5th with the Hello Summer Festival and Drone Show at Green Hill Park, which I don't know if any of you have ever attended it, but I did go last year, and it's pretty cool. So if you don't have anything to do, make sure you do go. They'll have live music, food trucks, inflatables, games, and end the night with a drone show. And we encourage everyone to take part and explore what's planned. You can find a full list of upcoming events and ways to get involved on our website at roanokecountyva.gov/VA250. And again, that's Roanoke with county spelled out, va.gov/VA250. And that's all that I've got for today. So we will move on to item L, closed meeting. I move to go into closed session pursuant to section 2.2-3711A5 of the Code of Virginia for discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. The board will discuss potential business location or expansion in the 5 magisterial districts. Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mrs. Shepherd?
Yes. The board will now recess to the 4th floor for the closed session.